You're listening to No Hipsters Pod.
Episode 62, No Hipsters Pod. Your boy Ronte, the founder of NoHipstersAllowed.com. And this week, our guest and co-host is filmmaker, author Doreen Caven. Say what's up.
Oh, what up? Hey,
Welcome,
guys.
welcome back. It's been too long.
It's been too long.
Yeah,
And
but
thank you for the nod to filmmaking. I mean, I haven't made a film yet, but
I don't know,
it's
but
on its way.
you are. I mean, can't wait to
I
see.
am.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love that. That was like my first intro as filmmaker. So thank you for that.
Of course.
I appreciate that.
The world stopped this past week, and you know
As
why,
always.
right? And I mean, there's no one else who could give this conversation what it needs the way you can. And of course, we're talking.
I appreciate that as an expert of Beyonce.
Exactly. So we're talking about the drop of Renaissance, Beyonce's 7th studio album. It dropped on the 29th. And it's just, I mean, I've listened. First of all, there's a review of the album on NoHipstersAllowed.com. So if you have a chance, go look at it. And honestly, it's gotten better to me over time, which, doesn't always happen. But just after the first listen, I was like, I'd liked some songs a lot. I always like Cuff It and Move. But some songs weren't so great to me. But on the second and third listen, I'm like, wow, this is really a strong body of work. So what are your thoughts?
I honestly, leading up to this album, I really, because I think this is just how I naturally feel towards Beyonce's releases. I'm always like, how is this woman going to surprise me this time? I'm always expecting not to be surprised or not to be, directed somewhere new again.
Right.
And she did it again, and I think that for me, it was on first listen. On first listen, I really got into, I guess, the vibes she wanted us to get us into. I think that Beyonce literally shared her vibes with us, and we got to coast on her own wave. I love that this album particularly, allowed us to follow her journey in such a way that I think all of us are having the same experience because we are listening to it the way she wanted us to, with the transitions, with the, we get to a place we're happy, we get to a place we feel euphoric, we get to another place we feel chill, we feel ratchet. We're just following this vibe, and it's really dope. So I think that it's an incredible body of work. Anything that can make all of us at a time feel the same way. I've been seeing people say the same things I'm saying about this album, that when you can't just go to it and play one song, you literally have to play 3 songs before to get to the song you want because of the way
the transition is so good. And it's funny, so she's
vibing on a wave.
Right. And she's been using this mad scientist style of making songs, which is finally kind of going on me now. I actually used to hate it, where she takes 2 separate compositions and then makes one song. And I'm not a fan of very drastic changes to a song midway. So I didn't always like it, but on this album I think she did in a way that works. And I think oftentimes those transitions were done to accommodate the track to track transitions, which were extremely smooth. I mean, Break My Soul sounds so much better when you hear Energy right before it. And so it's just, I mean, listen, she honestly,
that's the genius of it. Genius of it. How she made all of us again vibe on her own way. You know what I mean? She literally got us from one position to the next, to the next, to the next, and we went on this journey. And then then the euphoric end with Summer Renaissance. It's such an experience, and it feels very special because I think that again, to go back to what you said about how Beyonce sometimes has tracks where they're switch ups in the middle and stuff like that. Sometimes it's just on one song and you're listening to a song that's a ballad type thing before it, and then you get to this song that's a little bit more edgy. Beyonce always makes you have to work your ear. I've noticed that about a lot of her songs, and there's songs where you're she'll go on a certain I don't know musical terminology, but she'll go on a certain height and a certain that you don't think should work, but she manages to scale through it and play through it with her runs or how she whatever, or even Ring the Alarm, for instance. People really like that song. I never really liked the song because she makes you twist your ear sometimes. And I knew it was a thing she always did, and I appreciated it because it showed that she was somebody who likes to experiment with sound, because I see Beyonce like a musician. You know,
do you?
I do. I see her as a musician. She really, really is into creating her own riffs and sounds and things like that, and using her voice as an instrument. So it's like harmonies and melodies and things like that are things that she really enjoys.
It's interesting you say that. I actually see Beyonce as more of a student than like an actual musician. And just stick with me for a second. And the reason why I say that is because I think she definitely relies on other songwriters a lot. And this is not to take away from her own chops as a songwriter, but she definitely, I think, pulls together from different people to make those songs work. And that's why you have all those many like credits per song. And actually, you know what, before we go even further, there's just so much drama. And honestly, at first I thought I was going to like make this a separate segment, but we can't talk about the album without like all the drama that's coming out of it, right? And one of the things that came up was Diane Warren, who made this tweet that said, how can one song have 24 songwriters? First of all, no song has 24 songwriters. The most is 14. And at least five different songs have at least a dozen credited people, but they're usually like, the sampled songs and, and things of that nature. And also because, like I said, because all those songs are really synthesized, you have like different compositions being put together. And so I think she's creative, and I definitely think it's her idea to put those songs together in that way. So I guess in some ways I see what you're saying.
Let me ask you a question.
Right.
Then this is a composer who writes music and comes up with like and requires a bunch of like a band to work together to create a sound. Is that person also a musician? Or
no,
are they students? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm saying like music, it doesn't have to only be just you singing on your own. That I understand, because I love bands. I'm a big bands person. I also like composers' music. I like the way they're able to create sound using the contributions of different people. So I think it doesn't. It's however you get to your creation of music, however you get to, I guess like sending whatever body that you're trying to impart on your listening audience. However you come to it, whatever you draw into it to create the finished body of work, I feel is the job of musicians. I feel like all of them that created the body of work, all the people, the sample makers, the producers, all of them, I just see them all as musicians, because to do that, to be able to end up with a final sound like that, that's just ecstasy. And it's a talent of musicians. I can't do it. I'm a very creative person, but that's something I can't imagine or begin to even understand or even know where to add what, to know what the final product should sound like. Right. That's like, I'm an artist. So I also know like, how much even at the elemental root, my taste, my ability to, have an idea and then call in the things that help me build that up or structure that up. I'm still the artist no matter what. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. The way a musician is a musician is how good the final product is. What does it sound like? And with Beyonce, why I think she's a musician is that not only is she able to deliver that in the studio version, when you listen to Beyonce live, you stop listening to her studio version. You literally need to start only listening to her live version, because she's able to even elevate it beyond just the studio, which is a thing that a lot of artists are not able to do. A lot of artists sound so much worse in person. Their bands, everything doesn't work. But Beyonce and her band, they are all one band, one motherfucking sound.
Right.
One band, one sound. She sounds like her instrument. She sounds like the drummer. She's able to do all that too at the same time and create this swelling crescendo of music. And, I saw a lot of people, say, the thing about Beyonce sometimes is, I would say, when people say, oh, has Beyonce's music ever matched up to who Beyonce is? Because Beyonce is actually more than just her music. She's her music, she's her performance, she's her energy, she's her secrecy, she's her, it's a bigger ball than just the music. But I thought that what the pandemic did was allow her to not have to always share all the other sides of herself, but to pour all those sides of herself instead into knowing how to make what encompasses Beyonce come out in the music. And she had time to do that. She had time to pour all the performance in it. Like, because what you're hearing in the songs is her performing like she used to perform. Like she's doing her deepest voice. She's doing her lightest voice. She's singing in that motherfucking album. All right. So she's really performing. And we, the audience, get to get all that we usually get from her tours and her whatever in the song, which is something I think is the first time she's really doing that on an entire album. Sometimes she does it on one song, but this time it's on the entire album from start to finish. And that's why Renaissance is a very special project for Beyonce.
I'm actually really stoked for like the live, performances out.
Man, I can't even imagine if this is already what it is. I mean, what are you to do with this thing?
It's just we don't have like, we don't even have any video. We don't have a video for "Break My Soul."
We don't even know what she wants.
It's crazy, how much excitement is out there and how like really we're all eating off of like audio. Like we don't have any video to go. Listen,
have you even seen how people have been like putting like clips of the Wiz, clips of
right? I actually made one. I did post it on the podcast page.
It's fantastic. Imagine it makes us think about this kind of music that makes us want to do things like that. Isn't that? Do you understand? How can you then claim that this is crazy? When have you done that? Like,
right.
This is amazing music. So I really hope. Yeah. So anyway, this will lead to who I think the losers are, but we're not there yet. So let's let's keep going.
We'll take this step at a time. But I think that the points you made are really interesting. And in fact, I wish we could actually spend like the whole day talking about a musician and what makes a musician, because I don't agree with all like the purists who say that, oh, you have to be an instrumentalist to be a musician. I actually disagree with that very strongly.
Of course, but
that's such an old school
ass talk. That's a white supremacy. Like,
exactly, and I feel like exactly, and I feel like they only even do that when it comes to Black artists, specifically Black female artists. But also, I think with Beyonce, I think where I'll almost kind of give her naysayers some credit is like, okay, why so many people on one song? And I think you've definitely put a strong defense to that. So very, very, very interesting stuff. So
I've been inspired by that, to be honest. I've been inspired by her like doing that, because that's something I would love to do. Even right now, I realize that in terms of my work, I'm already kind of doing that. Like I see myself creating a team of amazing people to help, because I'm good. Get good people too, and you guys create magic together, and you get to grow from that magic in your own separate careers. And that's what she does. All these artists and everybody that she brings together get so much bigger stuff. Do you understand? Everybody gets to eat. Everybody gets to win.
That's true. That is true. That's very true. It's very, very, very interesting. And first of all, I think the Beyonce Dream partnership is shaping up to be one of the greatest in history. Like, I won't say it's like Janet and Jam and Lewis, but Beyonce and the Dream, honestly, at this point, they're like at least 3-4 albums
magic.
in. Yeah, it's brilliant. It's really brilliant. And so the Dream was actually the one who called Diane Warren out on Twitter, even though I do think part of his defense was a little questionable, but he said something about how Black artists didn't always have access to like the arrangers and things like that, so they formed a habit of sampling. I don't know how true that is, but either way, I love to see him stand up for Beyonce in that way. What are the best songs on the album to you? So let me just say right away, Cuff It is clear winner, like head and shoulders above the rest of the album. But if someone told me that Move was the best song, I wouldn't call them unreasonable. What are your favorites?
Okay, I really don't have any favorites. I really love everything. I'm a no favorites kind of girl, by the way.
Really?
I just like to enjoy a bunch of things at once.
Okay.
So, but what do I listen to often? Coffee is amazing.
It's just
it's
like it takes you on the first listen. I'm sure my neighbors are sick of me because I had that blasting all weekend, like literally back to back. But that song is just
beautiful.
it gives you a kind of like euphoric feeling, and it's like this is really what
nostalgia too as well.
exactly nostalgia. I love the sample she used, and the sample's actually not that obvious. She uses Square Biz by Tina Marie and Good Times by Chic, but like they're not really obvious. You actually hear the Square Biz more than the other one, but it's just all so good, and she's singing her ass off the whole time, which I need her to do more of that, even though actually this is the best rapping she ever does on this album. Like, I hate to hear Beyonce rapping this album. I actually enjoy it on this album. But yeah, Cuff It, Move, Plastic Off the Sofa. I mean.
For me, Alien Superstar, because I feel like she literally like created the song of my dreams. Like, I don't even know how she did it. Pure Honey, also for me.
Really?
Man,
what?
Like, I love those tracks.
Okay, we're actually.
I mean, that's what, when I say that, I honestly really love this album and love every song, and actually have no, like, I could just, every time I listen to it, I listen to it from the beginning. Like, that's how much
I'm fascinated by your response, because those are my least favorite songs on the album. First of all,
maybe it doesn't call out to you.
I know, but that's really interesting. It's really interesting because I know you also appreciate Cuff It as well, right? But
of course.
So
there's no opposite. I just think that those are all good songs, and I think it's such a journey of music. I love that people can be so drawn to some songs other than the others because of things being said, or how it sounds, or what nostalgic memory it unlocks for us. Right. For me, Pure Honey, I'm a big Prince lover. There's so much Prince element in the music, and everyone says that Renaissance was made for the girl who loved Blow on Self-Titled. I was a lover.
I've heard
Blow.
that. I heard that. That's interesting. Very interesting. I did not like Blow.
Vibe.
Yeah.
Blow for me was I've been wanting Beyonce to come out with this Beyonce. I wanted this because I'm a disco girl. Like, I'm into those sounds from the 80s and the 70s, and she gave me all of that on that track. Alien Superstar is its own thing. I mean, it's just
no. I mean, so with Alien with Alien Superstar, I'm actually an outlier because most people are going nuts over that song.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I'm giving it a bit more time. I'm liking it a bit more and more and more, but like, the internet is going crazy off that song.
Because it is that fantastic. The first time I heard it, I literally had to I went to my girl group, my group chat. I was just like, man, guys, I'm dying. It's because it starts with things you already think. It's like, I've always thought I was just off or different, and it really calls out to that person.
True. Okay. Actually, you know what? Yeah, the lyrics are very strong, and the lyrics are actually peak Beyonce.
And it's telling you that you're unique and just shine anyway. Like, do this. Like, hit it as hard as possible. Like, this is who you are.
Right.
It tells you you're a magnificent being, which you are.
Okay. Talk that. Facts, all facts. But it's really so yeah, Alien Superstar, actually Cozy, which is right before that, actually took a few days for me to like warm up to as well, and I saw people really getting into that right away.
In my skin.
Right.
The message is supposed to meet you where you are. I think
that is very true.
People if you're there some people needed to hear something like that, because I was with my guy friend over the weekend, and he was like singing "Comfortable," and he was like, you know what? I know everyone is saying that this song is for like girls and black squares and everything. He was like, me, I'm a cis, guy, and he was like, I listened. He was like, I literally needed to, because he had to hit up my partner, Brew, and like when he hit him up, because he saw that he was also like fanboying over the album on his story. He was like, you're feeling this thing too, right? No, because it was like, for me, the music really hit me, and Cozy really hit me, because that's how I am. It's like, I've always been different. I've never, I grew up with sisters, and like, I've just been my own person, and I've always like, felt like an outlier, this thing just really makes me feel like I can just be myself. So the truth is that it's hitting people in different places.
It is.
It's a very good listen.
Very good album. Also, let's change gear slightly. Move. Right. I think the fact that she has Grace Jones and Thames on the same song feels like a personal gift to me, because I love both of these. I love both of those people very, very deeply. And it's funny, I didn't recognize Grace Jones' voice right away. I recognized Thames' voice, but like your first listen, you're not really picking up on everything. In fact, she's actually calling Grace Jones' name, but I didn't hear it till like the second listen. I was like, what? What an amazing grouping of artists.
I know.
And it's just so funny because and first it shows that Grace Jones respects her, because Grace Jones doesn't really fuck with a lot of these younger artists.
She's like, actually, I don't know her. She's like, I'm not interested in it.
Right. She's actually been dissing Lady Gaga for years at this point.
Lady Gaga?
I know. I got really upset with that.
Lady Gaga asked to collaborate with you. You said no. How come?
I met her once. I saw absolutely no personality at all. I just see things being tried on in her as if she's an empty vessel and trying to find herself. When you find yourself, then you come and show me something.
The fact that she would do something for Beyonce, I think, is high praise. But it's just such a jam. I mean, such
a jam.
Beyonce really, she did that on that song, I have to say. And also,
and let me tell you where I'm at with everything. Even with if music can be this good, if there are multiple people collaborating, maybe more people should take that approach. Because right now we're not getting anything. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Maybe we should do it like that. Because if composers of soundtracks can create such swelling melody using orchestras of different musicians, maybe we need music to be better, because what we're listening to has been trash. That's why we're all acting like we just got our first hit of crap. Do you understand? Because I'm so happy to have music that sounds like music. I'm sick of this easily, the track just disappears from your head and you don't even want to listen again. You listen to it once, you're not interested. But that's not where we come from. We come from a time where we would sit down and listen to music, the same album over and over and over again, because it was so good. And I was so bored with music that just the last month or the last 2 months, and I think I tweeted about it, I started listening to Aretha Franklin. I started listening to Otis Redding. And because I had listened to some of their songs over time, but to actually sit down and digest their actual albums and stuff, I was full. I was filled, because the music was music. And so if people are struggling to create music, maybe collaborate and work together and create music for the radios for us to enjoy. Because,
Right. Fair point. Actually, other artists have made this point in the past where actually you get the better results when you put heads together. So
yeah, it's like making a film. If one person, if I came with my camera, how good would the film be versus if I'm doing it with a bunch of people who all know what the fuck they're doing? It just makes sense, but we're being ridiculous, to be honest.
Fair point. Let's talk about, I guess I would say, the biggest controversy surrounding this particular album. Actually, let's talk about the second biggest controversy first, which is Beyonce's use of the S word, I guess is what I'm supposed to say now, which is considered an ableist slur referring to people who have spasms. And it actually happens just 6 weeks after Lizzo got into trouble for that word as well. And Beyonce took the same approach, where she decided to change the word in that line. And so at some point in the original, she says spasm on that ass, and now she says blasting on that ass. She actually just changed it. It's not updated on Apple Music yet, but it's updated on YouTube, which it's really interesting. The date still says July 29th, so it turns out that you can actually retroactively change posts when you're Beyonce. But it's really, really interesting. And so I feel like there's just so much debate around that word. Some people are saying, oh, you're overacting, yada, yada. People are getting too sensitive. My approach is always to just, really just err on the side of compassion. And if people are saying something is an issue, don't debate them as to why it is. Just take them, at their word, right? And so that's kind of where I am with it. And so even though it might be confusing to a lot of people, I'm happy Beyonce made that decision. But I'm kind of wondering, because Lizzo just got into trouble and she had 6 weeks to do something that she's now done in basically like 2 days. I wonder why she didn't do it ahead of time. Like, do you think that they just simply forgot, or do you think it was just a test to see how people would take it from her? What do you think?
I honestly don't have an answer to that because obviously I don't know what the reason was. I think that I'm going to go with the fact that the response to it was to do something about it rather than to resist to resist being called out to do it. I am on your side with the way you're handling it, or the way you're seeing it, basically. That if people are upset about it and it's just a word, and you can do something about it, then do something about it. I think that of course in American culture, in African American culture, the word is used in a whole different way. I had no idea up until the Lizzo controversy.
Same.
And I do remember my days before Twitter, right? My days before I came on Twitter, I started Twitter in 2017. I honestly was shocked the day I came on Twitter because I didn't realize how many things were an issue. I remember coming on Twitter, believe it or not. I came on Twitter and I remember saying somebody said something about female. I was like, wait, what's wrong with using the word female? I don't get, I was.
Oh, really?
I had no idea that female was even anything negative. Like I learned so many do's and don'ts and things to use and whatever on Twitter because in my world, when I wasn't on that world, I wasn't sucked into what was happening or anything or paying attention to anything really. Like I just lived in my life, and a lot of people are like that off Twitter.
Right.
So we kind of think everybody should be on tip top immediate knowledge of everything, and I don't think that's the case, which is why a lot of times celebrities fumble. They'll come and just say something that we've already decoded 2 years ago on Twitter. You know what I mean? Like, oh, how dare you? Even though we just learned it 2 years ago, we're like, how dare you be so behind? You don't know what's talking about today.
That's fair.
Like, people are not on this thing as much as we are. Like, you know what I mean? People are like, busy with their lives and their jobs and their things that they're doing. Everybody doesn't keep track of everything. But yes, I think that response is the most important thing. What do you do when you're called out for it? You do it,
Exactly.
For whatever reasons, I don't know.
You said that you're not going to speculate as to what the thought process was, but my whole thing, the reason why it's had me like is that Beyonce is so deliberate about everything she does, and and she rarely slips up. I think that's actually part of her genius, that she's so prepared and so thinking 4 or 5 steps ahead, that this seemed like kind of an obvious fumble. And especially when you consider that she also has apparently a Me Too due diligence process to make sure that all the men on her album don't have any lingering allegations against them with regards to sexual misconduct. And so I was trying to understand why someone who clearly is so thoughtful and careful slipped up on something that has happened so recently with another high profile artist. That was my only question about the whole thing. But like you said, you just never know what's really happening behind the scenes.
I honestly have no idea. There are myriad of possibilities.
Right.
I wish I did, so I could be sure, but
Right.
I'm glad she took it out because I think we are all learning new things every day.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about the biggest controversy surrounding this album, which is just truly, truly unfortunate, truly, truly disappointing, and that is the Khalees situation. So track 5 on the album, Energy, includes an 8-second, if that, interpolation of Milkshake by Khalees. And it's really a faint, loose interpolation of the drum of that song. And then while that drum is happening, Beyonce is singing La La La, but not in the same way that Khalees does. Because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about, that's the La La from Milkshake. No, it is not. I think the interpolation actually has to do with the beat. So this all first came to light before the album dropped. Actually, the rumor at first was that it was going to be a sample of Get Along With You, which turned out to be false. I was actually excited about that because I actually like Get Along With You. I've always hated Milkshake, by the way. And so Khalees apparently learns on the internet, like everyone else, rushes, first of all, responds to like Stan page posts about the sampling, leaves shady comments about, you know, why did, you know, about her disapproval of this happening. And then, of course, when that, you know, the blogs catch wind of her comments, she made a comment from her chef page. She then makes 2 videos, and, you know, it's also like, honestly, in one of the videos she says she had actually heard the song. Honestly, after hearing the song, I would have just deleted that first video. But she goes on this rant, is dissing Pharrell, dissing Chad Hugo, is dissing Beyonce, calling her stupid.
She's one issue because it was stupid and disrespectful, and she should have at least reached out. But the real issue is the fact that the people like Pharrell and like Chad, who Chad really is like an amoeba and just he's spineless. It's a miracle he can keep his neck up. But Pharrell knows better. This is a direct hit at me. He does this stuff all the time. It's very petty, very, very, very. And the reality is that it's frustrating. I have the right to be frustrated. Why? Because no one had the human decency to call and be like, yo, hey, would like to use your record. Which, by the way, the reason I'm annoyed is because I know it was on purpose.
While on the topic of using ableist language, she uses the R word in her rant.
Okay, so I just got off stage, but I got off and I saw these retarded comments. So let me just respond.
She's just doing absolute most over a very small interpolation of a song that she did not write or produce. Milkshake was written by Pharrell and Chad, and it was actually offered to Britney Spears, who turned it down, after which Khalees got it. Now, backstory. Over the last few years, Khalees has been calling Pharrell out about cheating her out of publishing. I'm not quite sure what her standing is there and what claim she has to publishing if she didn't write these songs. Because in all of her rant, she says nothing about writing it. She accuses Pharrell of not writing anything. She says, well, Pharrell has never written a word in his life. But she never comes out and says, I wrote the song. So I'm not really getting what the rant is about and all the anger is about. To me, what I see is someone who always had issues with Beyonce and is seizing out an opportunity to be bitter and to get all her, you know, animus off her chest. But I'm going to pause for a second. I feel like I've spoken for however many minutes now,
I was enjoying your breakdown of everything.
Thank you.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Thank you. No, because I can really, honestly, I can go at length for 10 minutes because I'm actually deeply confused, deeply disappointed in artists that I've loved for so long. And I just want to, before I say more, I just want to hear what your thoughts are.
Well, you know, same as you, I'm also someone who really, really, really always and still do love Khalees' music. You know, I thought she was a very original artist. Her own style, her own look, her own sound. You know, she is just someone that I just have a respect for in this industry. You know, and always I wanted to see her come back into music, but was also happy for her if she felt maybe the industry was too toxic and maybe going at it as a chef or, you know, in any other thing or creative pursuit she was going for. I thought, hey, I hope she's happy, you know? That's how my view of Khalees has always been. I haven't really looked upon her as anything more than just, you know, a really good artist from the past and who stopped doing music and went to do other things and found some kind of success and even enjoying it. You know, so this, when we first saw the hullabaloo surrounding the crediting of Khalees and, you know, all that stuff, I listened quietly. I listened and I was like, this is something that, you know, if this woman is speaking up about it, then maybe this is really like something to pay attention to. And so I didn't tweet anything about it because I was interested in waiting to hear the song and understanding the extent.
And you know, let me just jump in and say that I peeped how careful you were on this topic, and
yeah,
I saw.
Because I'm a Khalees fan. Yeah,
right,
I'm a Khalees fan. So I was going to be like measured about it because you know it's something that I was surprised that Beyonce would do. You know, I was like, knowing how Beyonce dots her I's and crosses her T's, and knowing how she usually, you know, moves in this industry, basically, in terms of even like, you know, having a good connection with the people who she samples. They are always very happy, like Clark sisters, like Frank Beverly, and, you know, the woman who, for Break My Soul, I'm sorry, I forgot her name.
Robin S.
Show Me Love. Exactly. Like, there's always it's always such a good exchange of vibes. So for it to
And
be
just
this,
and let me just jump in and
you
say,
know,
Khalees was upset that she didn't receive a phone call, and not that she, because she didn't write the song, so she thought she deserved a courtesy call. And let the record show that Robin S didn't get a courtesy call either. She found out with everyone else and was happy that Beyonce did that.
This is Robin S, and this message goes out to the Queen Bee herself, Beyonce, to Jay-Z, to the entire team. Thank you so much for giving me my flowers while I'm still alive. I am honored and I'm excited to see what else can happen.
Once I actually listened to the song and I listened out and didn't hear fine, and really tried to, and then went online and saw everyone too was like perplexed, looking for what the situation was. I tried to look further into it, because at the time I just thought, somebody's taking this woman's song that she sang and she was singing passionately on, and Beyonce just wants to come and be like, do 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 while she's singing. Milkshake brings all the boys to the. I thought it would be like some real taking of her property type of stuff, and bruh, what it was. 8 seconds of drum beats that are particular to the Neptune sound. Do you understand? Like,
right,
it's something that we always hear on the Neptune sound. Is the Neptunes. We know that's their drum beat signature. We've heard it in multiple songs and all the songs created for everybody.
That could just as easily have been Slave for You. FYI, but continue.
And it's so, I'm so used to music where they, you're in the middle of it, you can hear dun, 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 and then you just keep on singing the rest of whatever. I'm used to people throwing in some like in the middle of a song,
right?
Just to, and it's like used in music usually. So even if that beat was there, it didn't strike me as anything that should cause this extent, this level of vitriol. And that was when I really understood. I really understood the situation for what it was, that, this was her only chance of getting a situation where she's linked to Beyonce and in a way where she can get to have a soapbox and spill whatever is in her heart that has been latent and been there for a long time. And rather than be careful about it, like someone who has a legacy.
Or has a legacy
Someone
to
has
protect.
good intentions. Yes,
right.
Exactly. Her thirst for whatever she was going to get from people, turning on the idea of what Beyonce did. She wanted so bad to have this chance to do that, and
too much.
She just messed up, in my opinion. I think that she literally showed her ass in a way that was just very, 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 very ugly. And I noticed how difficult it was for so many people to actually acknowledge that she did. They were
because we like
trying
her.
Their best to give her as much as they could give to. But immediately, I'm like, you have to be as fair with her as you were. You have to be as fair as you were with her initially. For Beyonce too, because you got to be fair about what happened to Beyonce. We are talking about a woman that was just unnecessarily verbally attacked, insulted, called satanic, stupid, and even mocked her whole, like, her, the whole female empowerment thing. Which actually I take very personally, because I am someone, right, whose work people can link to women empowerment. People do say that. And I've also been in a situation where someone misbehaved to me, and the first thing that they wanted to say to was like, oh, and you do female empowerment and you're having issue with, a woman or something like that, right?
Oh.
So this is the kind of thing, I saw that parallel, that little ugly moment of trying to really reduce or break somebody's spirit. Because the truth is this, I can be doing female empowerment, but it doesn't mean I like every woman, okay? I care to empower the women I like. The whole thing is even called Girls Like Me. If you're, I'm not trying to disempower you, but my focus on empowering is on people who listen to my own messages. And that's the same with somebody like Beyonce. Like, she's clearly not trying to empower you, the kind of person that will go on social media and just start spilling all kinds of ugly things,
Right.
without even doing your due diligence, without really finding out what's happening, without even while knowing what's happening, going forward and using this little soapbox you have to have a very ugly public moment that at the end of the day makes you look bad in the end. I mean, almost makes all the sense in the world why Beyonce would never have called her. She may have experienced her already. She may have experienced this energy that she was bringing out.
Yeah,
and why would they have any connection?
Right, and honestly, like this idea that people deserve courtesy calls for a sample is actually not a thing. Where people might call you is for a cover, because there's no clearance process for a cover. You can literally cover anyone's song without having to ask. You just have to like make sure that you're like the song, you keep the credits as is. So you can cover anyone's song and you don't have to credit. So people usually, especially when it's a high profile artist, they call the original performer usually to say, and the writer say, yo, I'm about to cover this, can I get your blessing? But for a sample, that's like typically like a legal process, and it's like a conversation between lawyers so that it gets cleared. So this idea that anyone needed to be called is false. And if anyone deserved a call, it would be the writers and owners of the song, which does not include Khalees. The whole thing,
and she's well aware of the way things work. Everyone is. Do you understand? Like, this is an industry where all, like, a music executive was talking about it. Even Questlove, everybody was just kind of like, huh? She knows how things are. But to stand on a soapbox to paint a picture of someone to the people, to the masses of people that don't know, was a complete, again, way. She tried to make Beyonce look ugly, but ended up making herself look ugly. Because you know the way these things go. Nobody has to explain it to you. You understand it. So don't drag. If you keep I completely think it's valid of her to share whatever misgrievances she has with,
with Pharrell,
Neptunes and co.
But
like
honestly,
I can't speak on anything because I don't.
We can't speak on it, but honestly, I actually feel like at this point, I'm starting to question that at all. And this has nothing to do with Beyonce. If she didn't write any of these songs, what claim does she have to publishing? I really need her to break it down for all of us. So that's the first part. But secondly, with the whole Beyonce thing, from the moment I saw the first video, I saw it for what it was. And maybe it's because I've been the object of people's irrational hatred in the past. So I merely know that she's just upset with Beyonce because the anger is...
I thought so too.
Right.
Anger is
disproportionate.
But attaching that anger to her doing something to her made her seem like, maybe there have been in multiple times where Beyonce did something to her or something like that. You could if you were sympathetic to Khalees, and Khalees just lost someone in her life, her partner, I believe. And so, me as somebody that wants to be sympathetic to someone, you listen and try and say, okay, let's finish. Well, even if she's really disproportionately angry, maybe there's been a wealth of this happening for so long, and you really realize that no, it's and by the things I don't know if the screenshot of her sister also piggybacking off what she was saying was real or not, or there were some additional screenshots of a conversation where her sister was saying, the puppet, calling her a puppet, and I think and saying she's not intelligent enough, or just there was this messy extra content out there to I don't know if it's real or not. However,
the only screenshots I saw was where she called Beyonce, said Beyonce is being promoted. Promoted by Satan. Also, there was a comment about Rihanna.
Sister also responded. Yeah, there was something about Rihanna where she, and then even when she said, and she obviously copied me. At that part, that was when I was my spidey sense lifted too. At that, I'm not going to say that when I listened to it, I didn't think to an extent that she was also doing it for a certain negative reason. I'm a Beyonce fan. I'm aware that this kind of things always happen. But again, being that it was a Khalees situation, who is somebody else, I just wanted to listen. At the end of the day, we should just listen, right? So I wanted to pay attention and only speak after all my facts were on the table, which is what I believe she should have done as well. So, looking at the end result of the choices made, And even after finding out what happened, the choices that she continued to make, you know, I, as a Beyonce huge fan slash stan and all of that, I'm really happy about how it ended up, you know? It's
yeah,
really
which is
nice to feel vindicated and to have like all the people who were writing, oh, you feel like, so when it comes to your fans, your Beyonce, you don't want to like look at things thoroughly. And I'm like, listen, but look at you guys, because it's Beyonce, you don't even want to look at things thoroughly yourself. Because if you looked at things thoroughly, you would see that this is a case of somebody projecting misdirected rage at someone who she possibly has long despised for having the breadth of career that she has had, that she thinks that she should have. But to be fair, and I think that Khalees is an original artist, like you keep saying.
We love Khalees.
Some sounds that are amazing and all that.
Absolutely love her.
And she's a good performer and all these things. But if, in my opinion, she doesn't come close and not in the same room as the extent of musician that Beyonce is personally. That's me. I know that. And that comes from live arrangements, that comes from vocal ability, that comes from genius production skills, that comes from all the things that she has been able to do. And Beyonce is an easy person to hate. Anybody that makes things that are great look very effortless, people hate them. I personally think I'm one of those kind of people that people hate easily. So I recognize the energy. I recognize the energy.
I mean, not to put myself in the same box, but I will say I know what, like, when people just hate you for no reason.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I saw Khalees, I'm like, all right, this is weird, because I personally have.
But she's an amazing woman. I think that maybe, like, you know, I've always thought that, you know, I can't speak on exactly what precipitated the events that occurred, you know, but I can say that I wish her peace, and I wish her, like. Honestly, this was just unnecessary.
Honestly, I
wish
I can tell from how you're talking, I can tell you really like Khalees, because you're being so nice about this. You are being extremely nice, and that just shows how much you like Khalees. I really think Khalees has done, like, very, very significant damage to the legacy, and she will always, like, look like a hater, because it's not like she's going to get another hit, right? So we're always just going to remember her for this really sad, pathetic episode that didn't need to happen. And also, as of today, Beyonce has actually removed the credit from that song. The beat is still there. I mean, there are people saying that the beat's no longer there. I still hear the Neptune style beat, but she's taken out the la 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 background vocals, which just FYI never sounded like the la 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 on Milkshake, but people have been trying to make
complaints. She just snipped it off.
Right. But I think she's just kind of nipped it in the bud and removed the la 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 bit. The drum is still there, but the credits on the website no longer mentions Milkshake by Khalees. And also, ultimately, this is really money out of Pharrell and Chad's pocket, because Khalees was never getting paid for any of this. So, but I mean, it's just great. I think it didn't add much to the song anyway, and I think it's just better off that we go this route. So hopefully Khalees can find something to do about it.
You know how you said this is the biggest controversy around the album? I don't even believe it's a controversy. Like, it is, but it's just, you know, it's so irrelevant. Like
it has.
It was such I mean, the discussion, it brings up a lot of discussions, mostly because of a lot of people were happy to have something they felt like they could, you know, use against Beyonce through this thing. Right. But, you know, to have it dispelled in literally almost 4 days is
fantastic.
Like, we're all going to keep talking about it, but not in connection to the album as much as just, damn, why did Khalees?
Because I mean, we're on day 6 of this story. Think about it, 6 days of, like, headlines about this one situation. Like, this is, I mean, I'm happy Beyonce took this route. It's not nearly worth it. Like, just go fight with Pharrell and Chad, because this really,
like, none of my business. It's okay if you don't like it. If you don't want it, you don't want it.
Right. Before we wrap up, though, where would you put Renaissance on the Beyonce album ranking?
You know, I'll speak for me. I think that this is Beyonce's best work, personally.
You see, you're such a beehiver. I can't, because that's okay.
I'm not. But this is my opinions are based on me.
True.
On my own, like, the kind of music I listen to. I know why I'm saying that. I'm saying it
Okay.
because it's. I love Beyonce's music and I love Beyonce's albums, but I personally always wanted her to play in the zone that she's always wanted to play in. And I feel like I see her having so much fun on these tracks. She's doing everything she wants to do. She enjoys rapping. She enjoys singing songs that have like melodies from the 70s, she is an old soul and she's able to put that there. She is a shiny ass bitch, so she was able to put like the culture, the queer culture beat. She was just able to have fun and play and create music that made all of us feel euphoric. And I think that was great for me. And so I'm speaking for myself.
Okay, that's fair.
It doesn't have to mean on every scale in the world.
Right.
Scale,
that's fair.
I enjoyed this album the most, and I want to dance to it every time, and I want to listen to the whole of it. And I think that is such a win for me as a Beyonce fan to have an album that I feel happy. Like I'm using it even in meditative ways. Like I want to wake up and once I listen to it at the end of the day, once I get through it, I'm already like a little bit bubbly, happy, positive, feeling like I can kill my shit. But Beyonce is big for me, obviously. I feel like
of course. I think
that's why it hits me the way it does.
I'll say that it's one of her better albums. I might give it a 3.
So what's your favorite album?
My favorite album is Dangerously in Love. Actually, is my favorite. That's I think
that's a beautiful album.
Yeah, it is. So I'll say Dangerously in Love, and followed maybe by Lemonade, and then maybe Renaissance. Depending on what as time goes on, maybe Renaissance might overtake Lemonade. But I just feel like Beyonce was at her very best at Dangerously in Love. So that's where I am with it. What are your number 2 and number 3?
I don't have favorites. I keep telling you.
True.
I really don't have. I'm not a favorites person.
That's fair.
But I enjoyed the albums. I really did enjoy and listen to a lot. I listened to 4 a lot because I thought that was again a project from Beyonce that she wasn't doing as much as to garner hits or number ones. It was she wanted to do that album. I like the albums that she's doing because she wanted to do it. I love Self-Titled because she was really bold and experimental on that album. She was pushing herself and expanding her art. Then Dangerously in Love was our intro to Beyonce. Now, Interestingly Enough is the album that I didn't listen to as much. I listened to songs on it, but at the time my solidarity with Beyonce was just growing. I was just like, man, I love Crazy in Love. I've listened to that track a million times. But I didn't sit down and listen to Dangerously in Love for beginning to end. I just listened to songs I liked. B-Day was a fun, easy album. A lot of people love B-Day because it was just pure fucking zest.
It's very frenetic.
Bad bitch. She was just, she gave us so many fun songs, which was fun for culture. We had so many twerk anthems and bad bitch anthems, and that was fun, but it wasn't something that went to my soul just for fun, right? So that's why this one, I think, it gave me fun, it gave me things to think about, it made me want to change ideas about myself, made me want to feel whatever. And then let me speak of Lemonade. Lemonade for me was it was such a deep album, and I just generally, I'm someone who didn't like seeing a sad Beyonce. I didn't like seeing a Beyonce that had to learn this lesson of life or whatever. And I wasn't a big fan of the overall journey of
Really?
If you follow me on Twitter, you know that I'm not the most forgiving soul.
True.
So for it to end in somebody shows me Pepe and the Pepe is sweet. I love you. I'm not. That message is not my message. Right?
Gotcha.
And so, as much as it was a brilliant body of work, and I enjoyed the journey that we're being taken on, it's not something that I wanted to always go on because I don't quite agree with that. However, it's everybody's own world, it's their life, it's their journey. So,
that's fair.
So that's why Renaissance for me is my thing. As you can see, it combines everything.
That's fair. Winners and losers. Doreen, since you're the guest, I will let you go first. Who are your winners and losers?
I think winners are Beyonce fans right now. We are eating good. Okay, we had Act 1 and Act 1. Oh my God. Oh my God, Act One was a hit. Okay, and everyone got to like vibe together, and we're all in this exciting time where we haven't seen the visuals yet, where we're expecting Act Two, where we're expecting Act Three, more visuals, and then we're gonna expect the tours, we're gonna expect live performances and shit like that. And Beyonce seems to be present this time in her marketing, so she's not like she's just dropping in, she's going to be here, and it's exciting. I think we're winning right now because we've been waiting, we've been starved, we have been dehydrated for solo Beyonce content, and we got it. And I think the losers are the people who are not going to let themselves enjoy this for whatever bias they have against Beyonce for stupid reasons that don't make sense because they don't know who she is as a person. They don't know anything about her. But music has been so mid lately that I just can't imagine not, dialing into this moment. I actually have a friend who's really awesome person I just met, and she's a DJ, and she hasn't been the biggest Beyonce fan ever. And I told her that when this album drops, why don't you give her a chance? I asked her if she had seen Beyonce in person. She hadn't seen her live. And I'm like, you don't like Beyonce. You haven't seen Beyonce in person. Duh. You need to see her live to understand who Beyonce is. You're just listening to songs and you don't like the songs. Fine. You don't have to like the songs, but you have to understand why people like Beyonce. It's not the hype is coming from somewhere real. And so I told her, without bias, put your earphones on and listen to this album. And she did. And literally, she had up on her Instagram story, like, Alien Superstar, one of her pictures. And I was like, aha, I see you, girl. And then she's like, she talked to my sister, too, because we were teasing her. And she's like, man, this album is
Shout out to
amazing.
Joan.
So I hate to admit it, but it is so incredible. She was like, every woman needs to hear it. It's so liberating and empowering. She's like, man, it was, like, she really, and I'm like, that's somebody that managed to connect with. So now she's going to look out for the videos. Now she's going to go for the concert and really get to experience an artist of this caliber still releasing music. We have lost so many of our great artists.
Listen.
This is one of our current ones that is here. You can actually access. Do not fuck with it, because music is a spiritual experience, and anyone who is able to get people as happy and elated and joyful and creative as this is something special, and everyone needs to appreciate the special people that we get to, we had so many people, when we were young, we had so many people. It's so hard to find that magic,
right
nowadays. So we just take advantage of it instead of being a loser,
right,
and just fighting the air for no reason, So that's literally...
That's your loser. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So my winner is the woman herself, Beyonce. I mean, honestly, 25 years into her career, still producing at this level, still just demanding this much like attention and being able to generate this much fervor and excitement in the music business that is notoriously fickle, especially for women. It's doubly so for Black women. And to be this Black woman who's this famous and powerful and in demand this far into her career, and and past the age where the best before date,
the hot girl age,
right? Exactly. They keep trying to tell us that after 40, exactly, right? And even I was even making higher, saying okay 40, but now she's over 40 and she's still this hot,
as relevant. She's in fact, she's still the hottest.
Exactly, and we honestly, like, we are witnessing history, whether we realize it or not. So this is really a big deal, and so yes, Beyonce, absolute winner. I think I can't wait to see what the visuals are going to be. I think she's going to blow our minds, because my theory is that those pictures she posted last week are actually from the videos. And actually, when I made that post, and Tina Lawson or Tina Knowles clicked. Like that post on my blog, so I think that was her. That was her way. That was her way of
making you love.
Right. But also, I think it's also probably her way of even saying that I was correct, because I put it in the caption, like, my theories that these are from the videos. So yes, Beyonce winner. I mean, we've said it all already. Amazing album. I think everyone should definitely go listen to it, and I can't wait for the visuals. My losers, I was going to put Khalees in here, but I think we've said enough about her, and I'm going to just let her live. But I hate that she's going out this way. but I'm gonna put her out of this group because I think they're bigger losers this week. First of all, there's Neo, who whose wife made a post about him. I mean, actually, honestly, it's both of them because really, apparently, she was the other woman in his first marriage, and now she's leaving. Yeah, that's the rumor. And so now he's leaving her, and she made this post saying 8 years of infidelity and him sleeping with other women unprotected and yada yada. And she makes this post on Instagram, and then he likes the post like a fucking monster.
Like a toxic
and then eventually like releases this weird statement on Twitter. Like just the whole thing's a mess. So definitely, honestly, I was gonna say Neo, but Neo and his wife, losers. And then finally,
the poor wife, she's been done bad to.
Right, but I mean, apparently she's no angel either, so that's why I'm putting both of them in there. Now, the second loser, I think this is the real loser of this week, actually, is Mystical, who has been arrested for rape for the third time. Yes, the third time in 20 years. He was actually arrested first time, I want to say 2004. And after which he did 6 years for that, and then arrested again in 2017, and those charges were dropped eventually, and now this is the third time he's being arrested. I believe he's being held without bond. He's being charged with false imprisonment, first-degree rape, along with other charges, including damage to property and robbery as well. So this man clearly needs to be off the streets. But yes, this is his third arrest in 2 decades. And the crazy part is that when there are this many arrests, there are probably more victims. And usually, I mean, of course, we don't know, and this is all speculative, but the stats show that that's usually what the case is, right? Because most women don't come forward. So yes, Mystical, he definitely made great music when we were growing up, but absolutely turning out to be a horrible person, and so he's the biggest loser.
It goes to show how little people care about women and girls, that this guy keeps being arrested for the same thing. Are you serious? This is insane.
Right.
He gets to go out, spend time in jail, and then come back and do the exact same thing again.
Right.
There literally needs to be. The system literally doesn't protect women and girls enough, clearly.
Fair,
and boys too, yeah.
That's our show, episode 62. Doreen, thank you so much for stopping by.
I had so much fun.
Of course,
it's always a good time.
I can't wait to see what your film is like when it finally drops. When it finally drops, but we're all waiting with bated breath. And of course, your book Shine On is still available. It's a book of affirmations. I recommend everyone go out and get it. Thank you so much. Episode 62.
Thank you for inviting us.
Actually, no, before we leave, let's just remind people where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, well, you can find me on Twitter at Doreen Caven. You can also find me on The Girls Like Me on Instagram.
Yes. Love that page. So, yes, episode 62, No Hipsters Pod. Talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.